Ava Baroni Combs, yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So
there's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, but when you lose your man card.
Terrence Howard recently revealed new information suggesting that Diddy may have been tracking his adopted daughter, Ava. This revelation adds another layer to an already complex and potentially explosive situation. It seemed like Terrence Howard had severed ties with Diddy after he claimed that Diddy tried to make advances toward him. However, it turns out that Terrence might know more than he initially shared on that podcast. What's more, the authorities seem to have caught wind of this, as they've just updated the indictment against Diddy, adding 2 new charges and revising some of the original ones. According to street rumors, Ava might be one of the new victims, and there's talk that she could be testifying against Diddy in the upcoming trial. Things are escalating quickly, and it appears that Terrence might be key in taking Diddy down. Let's dive into the details. Terrence Howard first shared his story on a podcast, revealing some shocking allegations about Diddy. The claim that Diddy allegedly exploited young artists seemed like the worst of it. But then Terrence disclosed something even more disturbing. Diddy allegedly tried to initiate an intimate relationship with him.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach. And you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
In the same conversation, Terrence expanded on the notion that Diddy was targeting black men in particular. According to Terrence, Diddy would allegedly invite them to what he called freak-off gatherings, which were more than just extravagant parties. These gatherings, according to him, were setups where Diddy aimed to break these men down and take away their sense of masculinity. Terrence made it clear that this wasn't just a one-time incident. Though he didn't name names, he alluded to other men in the industry who had endured similar experiences but chose to remain silent due to fear or shame. He painted a picture of a calculated, ongoing pattern where Diddy allegedly preys on vulnerable black men at their most exposed moments.
Those things. But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man.
Naturally, these revelations caused a stir online, but many thought that was the end of it. However, it wasn't long before people started speculating that Terrence was holding back more. Rumors began circulating that he knew something even more damaging about Diddy, something that could break the internet once revealed. Terrence hinted at this when he posted a video on Twitter suggesting that powerful people were threatening him. He teased that he might disclose everything he knew, and just to make sure everyone knew he was referring to the Diddy situation, he added the hashtag mancard, something he had mentioned on the podcast.
And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths. Man to man, eye to eye, integrity and in truth. I've spent a lifetime earning the right to speak with the conviction about these truths that I speak. So if you want to tear that down, have the decency to come and say it directly to my face. And say it like a man. The conclusions. But we're going to do this respectfully, otherwise we'll end in a duel. And I mean a duo, real life duo, where only one person walks away.
It seems that Terrence is finally starting to reveal what he knows. Word on the street is that it involves Diddy's adopted daughter, Ava Barron, and some troubling events surrounding her. Fans have been curious about Ava's situation for years, especially after Diddy introduced her in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. He made a surprise announcement revealing that he had adopted a young white girl named Ava Barron. The public moment was strange and abrupt, and though it initially seemed like a heartwarming act, it has taken on a much more unsettling tone in light of the recent revelations about Diddy. After that announcement, Ava was hardly mentioned, which may explain why no one revisited the topic until now, as Diddy's legal troubles have become more public. What seemed like a kind gesture at the time now has many wondering about the true nature of that adoption, and it certainly doesn't look good for Ava. Fans now suspect that she could be one of Diddy's alleged victims, and the situation is growing more complicated with every new piece of information that surfaces.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Ava Baroni Combs? Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Hey, that's like a little bit like borderline suspect. I don't want nobody, we want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else adopted kids, Charlize Theron, everybody that's ever adopted Sandra Bullock. I adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So just clarify, because it's crazy out here online. So I played with the kids, and I got permission from your mother, and say all of that, because it's crazy out here.
Well, I met Jesse and Delilah when I was 6 months old.
6 months.
And then basically sisters, all 4 of us. So. And then I always come over.
Yeah. And it's Ava Baroni Combs. Come on.
Let's go.
This isn't the only troubling aspect of the situation. Another red flag is Diddy's public comparison of his adoption to Madonna's, which is a curious choice considering the controversy that has surrounded Madonna's adoptions. Multiple sources have claimed that not all of her adoptions follow proper legal procedures. In fact, a few years ago, the Ethiopian World Federation accused her of exploiting children, claiming that she misled parents into sending their children to the U.S. under the promise of education opportunities, only to adopt them outright. This raised significant concerns about Diddy's decision to model his adoption after Madonna's, especially in light of the controversy surrounding her own adoption history. That alone says a lot. But what's raising even more eyebrows now is the dynamic scene in a video Diddy posted where his sons were front and center. Fans quickly questioned why Ava wasn't featured prominently like Diddy's sons and why she looked visibly uncomfortable. Her body language and expression left many viewers uneasy, sparking widespread speculation. Was this just an awkward moment, or was something deeper at play? Some people believe the atmosphere in the room felt off, and considering that Diddy's sons have their own issues, such as Justin being involved in a lawsuit and Christian facing legal battles, it's easy to see how the situation could have been tense. But the most concerning detail of all was Ava's sudden disappearance after that video. Aside from a few brief appearances with Diddy's twin daughters, Jesse and Delilah, Ava seemed to vanish. There were no more family photos or follow-up videos, and no public appearances from her side. Given that Diddy had her calling him Papa Combs, one would expect her to have a more consistent presence in his life. With the disturbing allegations now emerging, including claims of trafficking and mistreatment of women, fans are beginning to question what really happened to Ava. Her disappearance has turned the whole situation from a feel-good adoption story into a real-life mystery, making people wonder if there's more to the story than we were led to believe. Here's where it gets even more unsettling. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, came forward with explosive claims. According to Gene, Diddy didn't just mistreat Ava, he allegedly used her as part of a publicity stunt. Gene claimed that the adoption was nothing more than a strategic move to boost Diddy's image during the pandemic. Once Diddy achieved the attention he sought, Gene alleges that he discarded Ava, treating her as though she were never part of the family. Gene painted a disturbing picture, saying he found a little homeless girl, brought her into his world under the guise of adoption, and then pretended to embrace her like one of his own, all for appearances. Behind the scenes, Gene suggests it was all just a facade. While Gene didn't explicitly accuse Diddy of harming Ava, he certainly hinted that something darker may have happened, suggesting that people in the industry are already aware of the truth about Diddy's character. Gene didn't hold back, and the details he shared were shocking.
It's craziness, man. And you know what's so crazy is, bruh, that all these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and try to engage. Yo, it's a lot of stories that goes around in this industry about not just him, other people. Jimmy Iovine. Ain't nobody talking about Jimmy Iovine. He got charges and everything on him, but he got those publicists that's keeping it out off of CNN. It's keeping it off the major news reports. Nobody's talking about that. This is something that goes on, man, that they're gonna push up under the rug, and a few years later, Bad Boy 5, 6, 7, 8 will be out.
Sadly, Gene might be correct when it comes to the industry's tendency to turn a blind eye. This has been seen in the cases of R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, and Bill Cosby, powerful men who were protected for years while their victims suffered in silence. In the case of Cassie's lawsuit, she also made it clear that Diddy was surrounded by enablers, people who either ignored his behavior or actively helped cover it up. So when Gene began revealing these bombshells, it wasn't hard to question what's been happening behind closed doors. The most disturbing part, Gene hinted that Diddy may have had some very questionable videos involving Ava, videos that could not only be inappropriate but potentially criminal. Gene even claimed that federal investigators are allegedly searching for these videos because they believe they exist.
You understand? It's gonna come to the forefront. Now, what they're looking for, because it was going on the premises of, they're looking for pictures of girls that may appear to be underage in a context, like they in a act. That's what they're looking for. So now they're gonna go through all those devices. If somebody got any kind of weird, that they got little kids or little girls or something like that in any kind of pictures or any kind of photos that they took out of there.
It appears that 50 Cent may have had insider knowledge about Diddy's actions long before the evidence began surfacing. For years, 50 Cent has been warning the public, but many dismissed him, chalking it up to jealousy or lingering beef. Some assumed that 50 was just bitter after Diddy didn't sign him when he was trying to break into the industry. To be fair, that could be part of the story as well. Since we all know 50 Cent holds grudges, he's well known for his pettiness. So, it's not surprising that his feud with Diddy has never really faded, especially considering his long-standing animosity with Diddy's top DJ. However, 50 Cent has hinted that there's more to Diddy's actions than the public knows, things that even the feds have been keeping under wraps. One of 50's statements reads, "This is why they put that tape out. They know they can't charge him with what we saw, but they know we can't unsee what we saw." According to sources, 50 Cent allegedly has hard evidence about Diddy's activities, and he plans to include it in his upcoming documentary. Last year, 50 Cent announced that he was working on a documentary about Diddy, teasing it with the title, "Did He Do It?" Coming soon. He also took a jab at Diddy, saying, "I thought Diddy was a billionaire music mogul. If he's smart, he will file for bankruptcy." Now, all of this was discussed last year, and with so much going on in Diddy's life, Ava's situation had somewhat faded from the spotlight until recently. After Terrence Howard hinted that he knew something about Ava, the situation took a turn. The next thing we knew, the feds updated their indictment against Diddy, adding 2 new charges. The new indictment outlined Diddy's persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and others. It detailed how Diddy allegedly manipulated women into participating in orchestrated performances involving him and male commercial workers. It also claims that Diddy and his associates used his financial power and intimidation to control the women and threaten them with career and financial consequences if they didn't comply. The indictment also states that Diddy allegedly forced women to engage in sexual acts with other men at his infamous parties for money. Before we dive into what the federal investigators have uncovered, it's important to clarify that the women involved did not consent to these acts. According to the feds, Diddy coerced one of the women into participating and then paid her, likely to create the illusion of consent. This tactic is designed to blur the lines between coercion and consent, which could be effective in the court of public opinion, potentially painting the victim as complicit when she may have been trapped in a situation she never agreed to end. The first place, the indictment goes on to state that from 2009 to 2018, Diddy knowingly recruited and coerced individuals to engage in commercial sex, using force, fraud, and coercion. And from 2021 to 2024, Diddy allegedly continued this behavior, recruiting and coercing others to engage in commercial acts under similar circumstances. The streets are now speculating that Ava could be one of the new victims added to the indictment, especially given the renewed public interest in her situation with Diddy. If the feds are looking into her case, it wouldn't be surprising if she were included in the list of alleged victims. This situation is unfolding rapidly, and we'll soon have a clearer picture of what's really going on. Although the trial has been delayed, it's approaching, and we can expect more shocking revelations. In the meantime, I want to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below, and make sure to check out the next video for more updates.